Hello, dear students. Hope that you all will be fine. I am in front of you in another lecture from your chemistry portion from the chapter Periodic Classification of Elements. So, in this lecture, I am going to discuss with you Mendeleev's law of classification. Dear students, you should know that Mendeleev was a Russian scientist and he found that when elements were arranged in the order of their increasing atomic masses, the elements with similar properties they occur at regular intervals. Dear students, based on this observation, based on this experiment, Mendeleev gave his periodic law in 1869, which states that the properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic masses. So this is basically the Mendeleev's periodic law of classification. The properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic masses. The properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic masses. So what does it mean, dear students? It means that if elements are arranged in the order of increasing atomic masses, then the properties of elements they are repeated after regular intervals or periods. It means that if elements are arranged in the order of increasing atomic masses, then the properties of elements they are repeated after regular intervals or periods. Got it here? So in his periodic table, Mendeleev arranged all the then known 63 elements. ये आपको याद रखना है. So at the time of Mendeleev, 63 elements were known. He arranged them all in the order of their increasing atomic masses in horizontal rows, but in such a way that elements having similar properties they came directly under one another in the same vertical column or group. Got it here? The properties used by Mendeleev to classify the elements into groups were the similar formulae of their oxides and the hydrides. You need to remember this point as well. Dear students, now we will this was the law. So how Mendeleev arranged the elements known at that time, which were 63. Got it here? Now let us learn about the characteristics of Mendeleev's periodic table. So, what were the important characteristics, or what were the characteristics of the Mendeleev's periodic table? Dear students, in Mendeleev's periodic table, there are 7 periods, or we can say horizontal rows, and 8 groups, or we can say vertical columns, in the original periodic table of Mendeleev. You have to remember this point that there are 7 periods, or horizontal rows, and 8 vertical columns in the original periodic table of Mendeleev. So this was the first characteristic of his periodic table, and the second was that out of 8 groups, we can say out of 8 groups, first 7 groups are normal elements and the eighth group is of transition elements. So out of the 8 groups, first 7 groups they are normal elements and the eighth group of elements is of transition elements. Dear students, noble gases were not known at the time of Mendeleev. So when Mendeleev was framing his periodic table, noble gases were not known. ये भी आपको यहाँ पर याद रखना है कि noble gases उस वक्त दरियाफ्त नहीं हुए थे. Dear students, in order to make sure that elements having the similar properties fell in the same vertical column or group, Mendeleev left some gaps in his periodic table. तो मैंडलीव ने क्या किया, उसने अपने पीरियडिक टेबल में कुछ गैप्स रखी ये श्योर करने के लिए ताकि जो एलिमेंट्स जिनकी प्रॉपर्टीज सेम होंगी वो एक ही ग्रुप में आए. सो दीज गैप्स दे वर लेफ्ट फॉर सम एलिमेंट्स दैट वर नॉट नोन एट दैट टाइम, जो उस वक्त दरियाफ्त नहीं हुए थे. दीज अनडिस्कवर्ड एलिमेंट्स दे वर डियर स्टूडेंट्स नेम्ड एज एका बोरॉन, एका अल्युमिनियम एंड एका सिलिकॉन. व्हाट डज मीन? एका बोरॉन मीन्स बोरॉन से पहले, सो बिफोर बोरॉन. Before Eka aluminum means before aluminum, and Eka silicon means before silicon. So he left some gaps for the unknown elements whose properties could be similar with these elements so that they will be accommodated in the same vertical column or in the same group. Dear students, so these were the characteristics of Mendeleev's periodic table. Now, let's go to the achievements or the merits of Mendeleev's periodic table. Here, PT refers to periodic table. So, what are the achievements or what are the merits of Mendeleev's periodic table? The first achievement, or we can say, of the Mendeleev's periodic table was that Mendeleev's periodic table predicted the existence of some elements that had not been discovered at that time. So this was the first achievement, that Mendeleev's periodic table predicted the existence of some elements that had not been discovered at that time. Got it here? Dear students, the second achievement or the second merit of Mendeleev's periodic table was that Mendeleev's periodic table predicted the properties of several elements on the basis of their position in the periodic table. So Mendeleev's periodic table predicted the properties of some elements on the basis of their position in the periodic table. For example, Eka aluminum, which was later on named as gallium, its properties were predicted before its, we can say, the discovery. Dear students, one more achievement was that Mendeleev's periodic table could accommodate noble gases when they were discovered. As I said in the characteristic that noble gases were not discovered at the time of Mendeleev, but Mendeleev's periodic table had a space, had a place, so that could accommodate the noble gases. जब noble gases discovered हुए, they were accommodated. We can say that they could be accommodated when they were discovered. Got it here? So these are some of the, we can say, the achievements or the merits of Mendeleev's periodic table. Dear students, I hope so. You might have understood this very lecture nicely, and I pray for your best wishes in the future. Thank you very much.